Gon' kick it off then. Whoa. Gon' kick it off then. It ain't a game, kick it off then. Whoa. So gon' kick it off then. Huh? What we talking about, it goes deep.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching SHE in the network, and thank you for tuning in to another action-packed episode of WTF Too, Women Talk Football Too. And did you miss us in my Martin voice on that episode with Varnell Hill? You know, because we have been missing in action for a minute, but just been busy with some projects at work. Nothing major going on. Just had some other stuff take priority. But yeah, we're back, and so we're going to pick things back up like we never left. All right, no doubt. And I can't think of anyone else that I would rather talk football with than my lovely, talented, charismatic, and intelligent co-host. Let the people know who you are.
What's up, good people? It is the touchdown tomboy. Excited. Let's rock and roll, baby. I know we got things to do today.
That's all good. No worries there. Appreciate it. And here we are in the middle of November, in the middle of the season. Playoff talks are starting to emerge. Where Odell Gate is upon us. Controversy regarding the Monday night game against the Bears and the Steelers. The Raiders back in the media again for more not so good stuff. And we're still getting used to daylight savings time and watching the sun set at 4 o'clock during the 1 o'clock game. So yeah, that's pretty interesting there as well. So let's kick things off here with the first quarter. The saying stranger things have happened has been said oftentimes before, and that was definitely the case in week 9 during the NFL season. We saw lots of surprises, lots of unpredictable outcomes, from the Giants over the can't stay out of the media Raiders to the Falcons over the Saints, the Titans over the Rams, the Broncos over the Cowboys. I mean, well, we can throw the Browns in there. They mollywopped the Bengals. And then, of course, the Jags over the Bills. So touchdown tomboy, what was the most surprising, upset, or disappointing game for you?
Definitely the Bills and the Jags. Like, I know that the Bills had a couple issues going on, but that was, to me, the most surprising because it's like their Josh Allen said he was going to make a statement against the Josh Allen from the Bills, and that's exactly what they did. It's like that defense rattled him. And it's like they came out with this purpose to say, hey, we are here, AFC. I don't know what y'all been told, but we are here. And what makes it even more, I think what makes it even more interesting is that my guy, our quarterback, Sunshine, got injured during this game. Yeah. So, and they still won. So it was like, now I think a lot of it had to do with still the Bills just couldn't really get it together because I think it was one of those things where they thought they were just going to walk and they were going to just walk all over top of Jacksonville. And Jacksonville said, not today, Bills. And because of that, they had to respect where Jacksonville was coming from, and they got mollywopped in the process. Josh Allen looked like he had no idea what was happening, and I think they just struck them by surprise. And I think that's what happened with them. I think that's what happened with the Cowboys as well. But I would say the Bills was the more surprising thing than anything.
Gotcha. There were so many I was thinking of here. I mean, I was really like, I'm going to just attribute the Raiders win because it was just really, really emotional. I'm surprised that they lost because they had already been working through adversity with wins. Of course, with Gruden getting terminated earlier in the season. But I guess like this one was a little bit heavier weight with an actual, for lack of a better word, murder occurring here. So I guess that was more so their issue there. I'm so glad Dallas lost. More so because of their fans. And then, they lost to a team who at the time was below 500. So that was huge. And they lost at home. So and plus this was a Broncos team without Von Miller too. So I really liked that one the most. The Jags over the Bills definitely caught me by surprise. I was a little underwhelmed only because like it was a 6-9 game, not just the loss, but just the fact that it was a 6-9 game. And like you said, the injuries there, I really didn't see that one coming with Lawrence being out. The Browns destroying the Bengals, but my Steelers, we definitely appreciated that because that put us back in second place. So thank you. But it was just really, I guess, like the fact that they had the Odell thing was all the way over so they could move on with complete closure, no more Odell lingering. So I guess maybe that helped them. I didn't see that Saints loss coming, especially because they had a 1-point lead and then the defense just gave up in the last minute of the game and really just let them drive down the field and get that field goal. So I was really, really surprised at that one. but probably the one that I was the most disappointed in was the Rams losing at home to a Tennessee Titans team that did not have Derrick Henry either. And a team of the Titans where Tannehill gets sacked a lot, and then you have this type of defensive line with Aaron Donald. I just really thought they were going to have a field day there. They did have a lot of sacks, but also Matt Stafford got sacked a lot. So I was just really, really surprised that they got a double-digit loss at home like they did. They lost to Arizona at home. Oh, yeah, by the way, if they do get to the Super Bowl's out there too. So I don't know how much home field advantage they'll have in this one because they act like they can't play at home. So that was the most disappointing and surprising one for me. Moving along to the second quarter here, one that might be near and dear to you, touchdown Tomboy. Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold expected to miss several weeks with a fractured with some injury there on his shoulder. Carolina signing another former USC Trojan, Matt Barkley, and PJ Walker promoted to the starter. Now, sometimes injuries have led to people getting demoted, getting released, things of that nature. So touchdown Tomboy, with all that's going on with Darnold, a uptick 3-0 start, but then a lot of interceptions here, an increase in interceptions here. He's been lost without Christian McCaffrey. Is that it for him and the Panthers? Is that relationship over, or is it just attributed to the injuries?
It needs to be over, but I doubt if it will be over. So I got to go and see this game against the Patriots on Sunday. And my husband and I, we went to see this game. And a lot of people kept saying, you got to go see Sam Darnold. And of course, seeing it live and seeing it, on TV is very different because you get to see the whole scope of the entire field. And so the things that I got to see Sam Darnold do, I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is what they drafted to come to Carolina to replace Teddy Bridgewater. I was just really puzzled, flawed, and dismayed by what I saw. And to make matters worse is not only has he regressed, I can't say everything is Sam Darnold because I know we have a lot of offensive line issues. However, you had 3 receivers last year that had 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Robbie Anderson, Samuel Curtis, who's now with the Washington football team, and DJ Moore all had 1,000-yard receiving seasons under the same offensive line, which they had Teddy Bridgewater under. So now this is the same offensive coordinator. Not much change. The defense got better, but the offense is exactly still the same. The only difference has been Sam Darnold. So now when you take that into account, you would think, hey, well, it should at least remain the same, or they should catapult and be better, but it's gotten dramatically worse. And so with that being said, I think that what I'm disappointed about is I think it was a very, very bad move. In hindsight, it's 2020. I think it was a bad move. I think that they know it's a bad move. And I think what makes this situation worse is that they guaranteed Darnold a 5th-year option without even knowing what he was going to look like under center. So we're on the hook for $18 million next year, no matter what happens. So I'm like, now I'm questioning the GM and the head coach saying, do you guys not know how to decide how to pick your quarterback? Because clearly for 2 straight years, you guys have been disastrous on the offensive side of the ball, especially when it comes to the offensive line and the quarterback. Not so much with the receivers, because I think we have really good receivers.
Right, me too.
But with the quarterback, who is your centerpiece, and your offensive line are the centerpieces around the centerpiece, they've been disastrous with that. And I'm starting to question, do they even know what to look for when evaluating a quarterback? So to answer your question, it should be the end of Sam Darnold, but I doubt if it will be.
So what do you think they should do going forward with the quarterback position, since you think that should be over?
I think because of where they are, the best interest for them is to pick up a free agent that can basically somebody they can almost pay a minimum to, because they have that cap, that they've spent so much money on Sam Darnold, knowing that he's bad. They're going to have to go out and possibly try to find a free agent, which is why the rumor mill is swirling like it is about Cam Newton coming back to Carolina, because God knows Cam Newton is not that bad. So it's kind of like you got to have to find somebody that can take you that next year and get you out of this cap, this cap burial that you put yourself in that can help you to actually maybe win some games and dig you out of the hole at the same time. And so I don't know who else is available that'll be able to do that, but that's what they're going to have to figure out how to do that, because they don't have picks to do it anyway, because they gave up picks for Sam Darnold as well, remember? So now I think that's what I'm looking at in terms of that. So they got a whole tumultuous disaster going on in how to fix that. And honestly, I think right now, Cam Newton is their best option going forward, at least for the next 2 years, to dig them out of this hole that they dug themselves in. Will they go and get him? I don't think their pride will let them. But I think he could dig them out of the hole if he's willing to come back. He may not even be willing to come back. But he could possibly dig them out of the hole that they dug themselves in and allow them to get out of this cap that they dug themselves in with, putting themselves on the hook with 18 million, and sit Darnold on the sideline and let them go forward and figure out what to do until they can get that draft pick or that quarterback that they want. Because next year's draft has mostly offensive pieces, not being offensive linemen, not quarterbacks. With the exception of Sam Mills coming out of Carolina, I haven't really seen much, and people are starting to chatter about the quarterback from Cincinnati. I haven't seen much of him yet, but outside of that, I haven't seen much. So this is more about offensive lineman pieces, which we desperately need, and we don't have the capital to get them because we've been trading away pieces all season. So I don't know what they're gonna do.
Interesting. Wow. I was definitely the biggest cheerleader of this. Not necessarily a supporter, but I wanted it to work. You know, like I like Bridgewater too. And I was always wondering, like, did they let Bridgewater go because now Darnold's younger? You know, Bridgewater had some injury issues, or maybe because he was talking crazy about the coaching staff. You know, he was saying some things, and I thought maybe that's why they shipped him out of Charlotte. But now that it's said and done, Bridgewater looks pretty accurate about some of the stuff that he was saying about the coaching staff. It does not seem bizarre whatsoever. Like the thing that bothers me the most, and like you said, I totally agree. I don't think it's completely Darnold's fault, because Joe Brady, he act like he is playing backyard football with the cast of the Brady Bunch. Like, it's very predictable. It's very rudimentary. And like when you show your hand of Christian McCaffrey is your be all tell all, is everything that your offense runs through, and then when he gets hurt, it's very easy for your offense to get picked apart. So I think that this has made Sam Darnold a lot more vulnerable. And I know like he's got the injury and stuff now. But I honestly feel like the injury is a nice way to kind of exit him out, because I think by you kind of, I don't know what the clause is in the contract, but you might want to look into, hey man, you got injured. I'm not sure if we really owe you all this money or owe you all this loyalty due to the fact that you missed several weeks and you're out with injury. So if I was Carolina, I look into that too, as far as going forward. And the interesting part that you bring up, like in Teddy Bridgewater, is actually like, honestly, Denver has looked so much better with Bridgewater than without him. So that almost looks like a bad move from Carolina to get rid of Bridgewater so prematurely as well. And it's interesting that you bring up Cam Newton, because Carolina right now is playing the ABCs with their quarterback carousel and taking the anybody but Cam route, when actually that might be the person who saves you. We're talking about a former MVP here. We're talking about a guy who led you to the Super Bowl. You have not been to the playoffs since Cam has been gone. And honestly, Cam brought more fans. He brought more charisma. I know people had questions about what he dressed and whatever, but Cam he could still do things with his legs that maybe he couldn't do with his arms. And I haven't seen Darnold really do a lot of either one of those effectively or frequently. So Cam brings another dimension to the game. Honestly, I think that Carolina should just swallow their pride, admit that they're wrong, should boldly and vulnerably try to reach out to Cam, if not for the rest of this season, because it's kind of, we're at week 9 now. That is definitely something you might want to look into, as a reunion with Cam Newton for next season. So I totally agree with you. Touchdown time, boy, what you got for your halftime presentation today?
Oh man, so here we go. So I don't have them all, but this one was kind of special to me, because I don't know if most people know, but this month, of course, and I think it's tomorrow, is Veterans Day. And believe it or not, the NFL had quite a few veterans, okay? So I'm gonna try to run through it very, very quickly. Some veterans that, and I'm just gonna name a couple of people, but I wanted to just really highlight one that I felt like it almost brought a tear to my eye, because I felt like dang, like this is crazy. Like I didn't even know that. So there are a couple veterans and who they played for, and then I'm going to highlight just one for the sake of time that I wanted to tell his story. So there was Sid Luckman, who played for the Bears, and he fought in Normandy. There is Eddie LeBron, they called him the littlest general. He was 5'7", 166 pounds, and he served in the Korean War. And he was the first starting quarterback in the history of America's favorite team, the Cowboys. Then you have Rocky Blair, who was in the Steelers in 1968, and he was in the 196th Infantry in Vietnam. You have Chuck Burnett, who was, of course, with the Eagles. He was in World War II. You have George McAfee, who was with the Bears in 1940, and he was also in World War II. You have Ralph Wilson, who was in World War II. He was actually the founder of the Buffalo Bills, and he was responsible for the merger of the AFL and the NFL. And Roger Staubach, who was drafted by the Cowboys. And what's interesting about him is that he was actually due to play, but he couldn't play. The Cowboys drafted him 5 years before he could play. And what they ended up doing is because he had a military commitment. So what they did was they shipped footballs overseas. So they shipped footballs to Vietnam so that he could practice while he was away. So when he came back in 1969, he played for 11 years with the Cowboys, and he won 2 Super Bowls under his regime. So now you have Clyde Turner, who they was the Bulldog, and he played with the Bears in 1940. He was the center and the linebacker in World War II. And then you have Paul Hornung, which this is a cool one because this is funny. So this isn't the first time that the Packers have had a Golden Boy. So this is actually the second time the Packers have had a Golden Boy, and his nickname was actually the Golden Boy. This guy named Paul Hornung was a Golden Boy, and he won a Heisman. Listen, he won a Heisman, and this is the only time this has ever been done. He won a Heisman while playing for a losing team. He's the only person to ever win a Heisman while playing for a losing team in Notre Dame in 1956, okay? He went active duty 1961 in the Army while playing for the Packers, right? Lombardi and John F. Kennedy were friends. So John F. Kennedy, Vince Lombardi reached out to John F. Kennedy and got John F. Kennedy to allow Paul to basically come home and get passes to play on Super Bowls, to play weekend games on Sunday while he was serving. Now that's Golden Boy, okay?
It's probably it.
You flying home to play on Sunday games, okay? You cool. Vince Lombardi was cool with John F. Kennedy. That's Golden Boy status. All right, so that's not the first time that happened in Packers history. So I guess Aaron was not the only diva. All right. Now, then you have Chad Hennings, who was a defensive tackle. You have Bryce Fisher. You have Caleb Campbell, Mike Anderson, Alejandro Villanueva, who played for y'all. And there was 2 more people that I didn't get to write down, but the one that was most special to me was Pat Tillman.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Pat Tillman, of course, died in 2004. And what made Pat Tillman so special is Pat Tillman, he turned down a multi-million-dollar deal to no longer play the game of football, but to serve this country. Right. And at 25 years old, he hung up his cleats as a safety for the Cardinals, and he went. After his 5th season, he went to serve in Afghanistan, where he was killed, and he's no longer with us today. And I thought that was very admirable. And he was 25 years old, and he went and served his country, and he served it well. He gave up his whole life. He gave up the game of football, which we love to watch every week, so that men and women like me and you could be free and able to do what we do every week. And I thought it was befitting with it being Veterans Week that we talked about a couple people, and I wanted to end with him because it just, to me, I felt like it just solidified what veterans have sacrificed and what they've done for this country for us to be able to do the things that we do and get to enjoy this great game of football that we like to watch every week. And how so many people right in the NFL have been doing this and we didn't even know. And so I just wanted to say happy Veterans Day to those who have served and served well. And thank you for all that you do and the service that you provided from day one to this one and for the years to come. Thank you so much for all you do.
What a beautiful and special tribute there, and the timing was perfect. So good stuff, touchdown time, boy. And I think Pat Tillman also had a birthday earlier this week too, or earlier this month as well. The fact that you mentioned him, so good stuff as usual. But that one definitely was a pulling on the heartstrings there, no doubt.
I know.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're gonna pick back up here in the third quarter. We just got to talking about the quarterback for the Panthers, so we're gonna do a little bit more talking about quarterbacks. It looks like ahead of schedule that Russell Wilson's resilient self will return on Sunday night. Seahawks coming off a bye, but they have a 3-5 record, below 500, won one game during his absence. His return to football couldn't have come against a more dramatic team right now. As you just talked about in the halftime presentation, they're playing the 7-2 Green Bay Packers, who just lost their second game of the season as well without Aaron Rodgers. So that's going to add a little bit more fuel to this game too. Now, while Wilson was out, of course, the Packers' resume includes beating the last undefeated team in Arizona. They had some receivers out with COVID. They had coordinators out with COVID. And then, of course, we got the controversy with Aaron Rodgers, with all this COVID stuff, his status, his vaccination status. Now, of course, touchdown Tomboy, this game earlier years between these two quarterbacks, NFC Championship games conversations might even been an early prediction coming into this season. But here we are, a 3-5 team versus a 7-2 team. But again, Russell Wilson returning, Aaron Rodgers clearly not suspended going into this game. So amidst all this controversy and Wilson's return, what is your outlook on both quarterbacks going down the stretch?
So here's the thing. Russ has always been a consistent quarterback. I've always loved what Russell Wilson has added. Here's the interesting part about what they have. I think the Achilles heel more so has been that they don't, outside of DK Metcalf and what's my guy? I love him so much because he runs so fast.
Was it True Foot? No.
The other receiver, he broke his leg a couple years ago. What is his name? Lord have mercy.
Did it start with the L?
I'm gonna tell you right now. What is the child's name? Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. But that's his favorite receiver. Anyway, outside of those two receivers, he doesn't have a lot of offensive weapons. And so I think depending upon what Seattle does in the offseason, in terms of building that offense to help bring some other pieces in to help Russ, will decide whether Russell stays or if he goes. That's kind of how I think, because he is at the end of his tenure there, and he, at the end of his contract, and he could go on and pursue somewhere else. I think he likes Seattle, but it'll be more about, can Seattle basically continue to protect me, one, and two, can they provide me more weapons? And so I think that's the biggest issue with that. Now, the fact that Green Bay was just fined $300,000 on behalf of Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers does not go win Green Bay a Super Bowl this year, I think they will part ways. I think that'll just be the history of what'll happen in Green Bay, because he's just brought so much drama and chaos to that organization that if you're not going to win a Super Bowl, was it really worth it? So that's where we are. So if I don't see, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't win a Super Bowl for this organization, I just don't see where it will be worth it. I think they'll move on from him and they'll just start to rebuild going forward. So that's just what I think about it. That's how I see it playing out after this season. That's just where I'm at.
Interesting. Welcome back, Russell, as well. Glad to have you back. Much needed. And definitely the Seahawks, very necessary for you to come back. Honestly, I think that this is going to be a day late, dollar short with Russell's return to the Seahawks. They're already 3-5, and then also, and as you mentioned, Wilson is for the most part consistent, but this is the time of year where he starts kind of declining and dipping. He starts out so strong at the beginning, but then around the middle of the season, towards the late part of the season, not necessarily completely blaming Russell, but they start losing more games than they do winning. Now, hopefully this will be an uptick with Russell coming back and having the surgery and just the position that they're in now. But again, history just shows that it doesn't work out as well for Seattle down the stretch as it does at the beginning of the season. Plus, this division this year is probably the most stout. It's probably like the stoutest that Russell has seen in years. More competitive quarterbacks. He's even got a doppelganger in Murray. So these are teams also that Seattle also has losses to, even with Russell. Then there's the schedule. I mean, you go to Green Bay. That's your welcome back from surgery. Welcome back from the bye week. Present surprise. You go to Green Bay with a pissed off Aaron Rodgers and a pissed off organization. Plus they just lost the week before. So yeah, this is a lot going on there. You got to play the Rams twice. You got to go to Arizona. So I don't know. Those 5 games right there concern me. Now there's some more favorable matchups against like San Fran, Chicago, Detroit. But again, I'm just looking at the history here with Seattle. I think we might be looking at, with this contract coming up, I think that based off of the possible upcoming record, based off of his damaged goods this year, and just based off of how tricky this division is right now, and plus there's some opportunity for him next year, such as your Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that we might be seeing the last of Russell Wilson in Seattle as well. So I'm totally agreeing with you there. And then it's for Aaron Rodgers, all the drama and stuff that he's bringing to this organization. Yeah, it is definitely Super Bowl or bust. It was Super Bowl or bust going into the season, especially with the way he lost in the NFC Championship game. And it was definitely he was responsible for it. I mean, honestly, a lot of the NFC Championship games have fallen on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers, to be completely honest. But I think at this point, the relationship is so frayed. And I think this is kind of Aaron Rodgers' farewell tour. Like, he's putting up these numbers to show that he's still got something in the tank again, so that he can move on and somebody will be interested in picking him up next year too. So I've been calling Aaron Rodgers Karen Rodgers, but because of here lately how selfish he's been and how he's been compromising the other teammates, the other coaches and stuff, I'm actually going to give him a new nickname called Arrogance. It's a combination of Aaron and arrogance. And Aaron's my guy and everything, but dude, like, you really just feel like you are untouchable because you're the league MVP. I don't know, but like, you should really be suspended now. It should be beyond fines. So yeah, I just really think that Aaron Rodgers is being very selfish right now. I think that he'll be fine as far as winning, and he might even be one of the final 4 teams in the NFC Championship game. But yeah, this is really a relationship beyond repair between the Packers and Aaron Rodgers right now. So yeah, I'm like you, I don't expect to see much of Aaron Rodgers beyond here, especially if they don't win a Super Bowl. All right, so fourth quarter, closing it out. Still one winless team remaining in the NFL. Jazz got their first win, took overseas to get that, but I don't know if this is what it's going to take for Detroit, if they have to get out of the country to get the win or what. Now, of course, the Jags have won another game since then, but still, Detroit, very scary territory, because not so long ago, Detroit's the only team with the 0-16 record. They're already halfway there now. And they did it back in 2008. So, we don't want that to happen again. We don't want a carbon copy of it, especially not with the same team. So T-squared, for the rest of the season, the Lions play the Steelers this Sunday, the Browns, the Bears, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Seahawks, and the Packers. Where do you see the Lions getting their first win and or multiple wins? No way.
That's gonna be tough. And see, at first I said the Broncos, and then I saw a different Broncos team last week. And then I said maybe the Bears, but then I see Justin Fields is coming into his own stride now. So I'm like, I don't know. They really just might. Which now I got receipts of this. I didn't even pick them to win 3 games this year. Remember, I said that. Now I didn't pick them to win 3 games this year. So I don't know. I don't know, dog. But if they're gonna win it, I think that they could possibly win one if the Falcons will drop one, because the Falcons are good at dropping games. The Falcons tend to be good at dropping games. The Bears or the Broncos, I think that may be their best chance, unless they're at the end of the season and some team has already made their playoff pitch and they're resting their starters.
Well, that's true, yeah, because like they might not be playing for anything and don't want to risk anything. That's true. Let me just say this first part, this is no indictment towards Dan Campbell, because this is a great coach, great guy with great heart, great grit. like a guy that you want to see win. So I'm just giving that disclaimer first. But the reason why Detroit is in the position that they are in is because it's karma, because you should have never got rid of Jim Caldwell anyway. You thought the Matt Patricia thing was going to work out because he was a branch off of Bill Belichick's tree, but that was actually a dead branch. He's just better as a defensive coordinator. So this is all just reciprocity of you getting rid of Jim Caldwell prematurely, a guy who did get you to the playoffs, a guy who did get you above 500. And now you're on your second coach since his tenure. So this is what you get. Again, taking Dan Campbell completely out of the equation there. And Detroit's played some close games. They've lost some heartbreakers, including one. I mean, even against Baltimore. They could have easily won that Baltimore game. A team that's one of the top teams in the AFC, but Justin Tucker kind of broke their hearts there. So they've been playing with a lot of moxie and a lot of heart. And, you know, the fact that they're coming off of a bye week, maybe that's like a reset halfway through the season. And for part of that reason, I'm honestly scared to death to play them this week. My Steelers play them, and these are the reasons why. Again, they're coming off a bye, so they had extra time to prepare for us. We're coming off of a shorter week because not only do we have a primetime game, it was a Monday night game. So we don't get as much rest, and then they had the 2 weeks to prepare for us. Plus, the game that we just played, and I've said this a lot of times about my team, we play down to our competition. I knew that Chicago game was going to be close. And to keep it real, Chicago should have won. There was a lot of controversy, a lot of issues with the calls. Could have gone either way. Chicago should have and could have won that game very easily. So I'm not taking anything away from Chicago. We honestly had some Section 8 home field advantage, some home cooking. We had some help on the game, and I'm just keeping it real. So here we go again with another team that we'll probably, it's like a trap game. We'll probably sleep on them because, again, we have this thing of handcuffing ourselves and playing down to the competition. Oh, by the way, this is a big celebration for us this week. It's a Hall of Fame game. We're honoring the class of 2020 and 2021 during halftime. And this happened years ago on a Monday night. Jerry Jones had put the triplets in the Ring of Honor, and he purposely scheduled Washington because Washington they had only won like 2 of the past 15 games, give them some crazy. But they scheduled Washington thinking like, oh, it's a celebration. This will be an easy win. And Washington, more specifically, Santana Moss beat them. I think they were 13-3, and they won 14-13 because Santana Moss had 2 big touchdowns towards the end. I don't know, it's just really, really crazy. And I'm just starting to get traces of that just coming back because it's not impossible. So I'm really scared for us as a result with that. So I just don't know. I'm very nervous. But also the Lions, they do have 3 division games left, and all of them are at home. I think that they could probably beat Chicago at home and a very inconsistent, unpredictable Minnesota. I wouldn't completely rule them out, again, because it's at home. Like you said, I'm looking maybe the Falcons. The Broncos, I was about like you, thinking possibly, but Broncos are a completely different team with Teddy Bridgewater under center. And if something happens to Russell Wilson where he by chance regresses, not wishing it, but just if something happens and they have to put Geno Smith back under the center, I think Detroit could get that game as well. So overall, I see a possibility of maybe 3 games confidently, but definitely hoping that they don't hit that 0-16 record. All right, so we're on Odell watch. Of course, it's Odell Gate. We're all anticipating where Odell will go. So looking forward to that. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that more next week, especially if he gets to a team and plays on Sunday, seeing what type of impact he will make. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the Week 10 picks. Wow, Week 10, we're double digits here. And so the bye weeks include Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, the Giants, and Houston. Interested to see Houston coming off the bye week. Tyrod Taylor might be seeing him back as well. So yeah, on the 1 o'clock games for Sunday, touchdown Tomboy, Atlanta at Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah, me too, because Dallas lost an embarrassing game at home. I don't expect them to lose 2 at home. And Atlanta's, they're quietly at 500. But yeah, I just don't see Dallas losing 2 in a row at home. New Orleans at Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Definitely. I think Winston, the absence of Winston is making a bigger impact than I anticipated. And plus New Orleans, that collapse that they had on their defense the last minute of the game to Atlanta. Yeah, definitely not trusting them. Jacksonville at the Colts. Jacksonville low key, stop the high-powered offense.
I think they got some. Well, is my buddy Sunshine gonna be back?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know. He might be a game time decision.
I don't know though. They've been playing with some swag, so I'm gonna give it to. I'm gonna go with the Jags. I think they riding high right now.
Go with the Jags. Well, of course, I hope that the Colts lose for playoff implications, and because I'm not a big fan of Wentz, I would only pick Indy because they're at home. Cleveland at New England.
Cleveland. Let me tell you something. New England is really not that good of a team. It's just that Sam Darnold was really bad. Okay. And I saw that live in effect. It's Sam Darnold lost that game for the Carolina Panthers because the way that game went, they should have been up like 2 or 3 touchdowns. That was all Sam Darnold lost losing that game. Because they didn't look that good. So I'm definitely gonna roll with the Browns on this one.
Gotcha. I hope the Browns, obviously for divisional purposes, I hope the Browns lose for that reason, but I just despise New England. So honestly, if Cleveland wins, I won't be too mad, especially plus the Browns are still behind us. So that's fine as long as we win, and if they can win as long as we win too. So that's cool. Buffalo at the Jets.
Buffalo.
Definitely Buffalo too. Wilson is the starter. I'm sorry, not Wilson. Wilson's not starting. What's the guy's name? Mike.
White guy.
Mike White.
It's some white.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, he's the starter. Buffalo coming off an embarrassing loss, and so yeah, I like Buffalo as well. Detroit at Pittsburgh.
I'm going with Pitt.
I appreciate it. I'm uneasy, as I just explained in the fourth quarter. I'm very uneasy about this game, but like, come on, y'all, don't embarrass us, please. Do not let this be the first win that they get off of us, okay? Please, no, thank you. Tampa at Washington.
Tampa,
yeah, I think so too. This is, of course, a rematch of the wild card playoff game that we saw in the first round last year. Expecting the same results again. Carolina at Arizona.
Watch, this is gonna be the game we're gonna win. Watch, this will be the game that we should not win, but we will win. Why?
Yeah, there's no film on Martin, so I mean it's very possible.
This will be the game that we're not supposed to win, and we win it. That's always how Carolina is.
Yeah, maybe the change of quarterback should help. I'm just concerned about Carolina playing in that loud raucous dome because they play in the stadium, and I don't know how prepared that they will be with the elements of that. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. So we'll see how it goes. It would definitely be the biggest upset of the week if they give them that second loss. Minnesota at the Chargers.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Yeah, me too. Minnesota could even be a backup quarterback at home when they play Dallas. I just have trust issues with them. Chargers, they've been losing some close games, some games they probably should have won. So I'm expecting them to try to get the treads back on track this week. So I like them at home too. Philadelphia, Denver.
I think Denver's trying to ride high, so I'm gonna go with Denver.
Yeah, I always, the thing about Denver is whenever I hear somebody playing at Denver, the first thing that pops in my mind is you're playing 1 mile high in the sky. Like just the altitude, those elements, nature, like gasping for air is a lot different. It's just different. And I always before I look at who they're playing, I always consider that altitude, that environment as an advantage. Couple the fact that they're playing a Philly team who has no offensive identity. Yeah, I like Denver as well. Seattle at Green Bay.
Green Bay.
You like Green Bay? This will be my upset pick. Too much in the news, too much distractions for Green Bay. Russell Wilson back. They had a bye week to prepare as well. I'm picking Seattle for my upset on this one. Kansas City at the Vegas Raiders. Raiders coming off of a loss against the Giants and everything. They cut players, and yeah, tumultuous time for them.
Honestly, funny thing is with all the drama that the Raiders got going on, the Raiders will be one of them teams that'll just walk right on in with all this drama and let that drama build them right into the playoffs, and they're gonna be in somebody's Super Bowl with all this drama. That's the craziness about this, because I see that happening with them. Like all this drama is just teaching them how to win when it's hard, and I see that with them. I see them winning this week. I don't know why, but I just see that in their cards. I'm going with the Raiders.
Me too. I'm going with the Raiders for different reasons, though, because I feel like Kansas City, They had a fluke win last week because they were playing against Jordan Love. Nothing spectacular about that win. Plus, they only put up 13 points. I'm really having a lot of trust issues with Kansas City, too. I like the Raiders at home also. Monday night game, the Rams at San Francisco, divisional game.
I'm still going with the Rams.
Yeah, I'm still going with the Rams, too. Gosh, a crushing loss last week at home without Derrick Henry. That was embarrassing. And,
I wasn't surprised.
I mean, it's not so much surprise, just embarrassing for them. You know what I mean? Like, who would have thought? Like, you're at home, you lost another game at home, and again, this is a Tannehill that's been sacked. Oh, like, yeah, he got sacked 5 times week 1. I don't understand. Like, that was a feast. This should have been a feast for Aaron Donald and them. But yeah, I think that they'll get back on track against a San Francisco team that doesn't put up a lot of points on offense. All right, so touchdown time, boy. Anything to add for this week?
Nope, it's a good one. We're excited about week 10. I hope everybody has a great Veterans Day.
Absolutely. And again, beautiful tribute that you provided as well during halftime. So we appreciate you all once again for tuning in to WTF 2 Women Talk Football 2. For Touchdown Time, boy, I'm Gridiron Goddess. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we're out.